The offensive line love continues today with a doubleheader, and we're starting it off with the offensive guards.
Inside, and a beauty! Hall running free! Brees Hall inside the 10! He's gonna score!
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and today we're going to be ranking the top 5 offensive guards in this draft. Why are we doing guards before tackles? Well, because there's a bunch of tackles on this list. Guys who played offensive tackle in college that I just don't project being offensive tackles at the next level. And that's it. That's the whole point of this conversation. And that's why we're doing offensive guards first. So let's jump right in. Let's not waste any more time. Number 1, offensive guard, the only guard that I have with a definitive round 1 grade in this class, top 5, top 10 type of prospect, and that's Peter Skoronski, the offensive tackle out of Northwestern. And look, Peter Skoronski is one of my favorite players in this year's draft. His skill set, his ability, the fact that he's a technician, the fact that he can move in space, the jump from 2021 to 2022 in play strength. When you look at his tape, I've seen every snap of Peter Skoronski's college career, and he just got better and better and better and better. The guy is an extraordinary talent. Excellent on his feet, excellent with his hands, excellent out in space, year over year improvement. Like, the guy's just got it all. But he's got sub 33-inch arms. And that's a problem when you look at the next level. The guy almost doesn't have a single knock to his game when you look at Peter Skoronski. I think truly he doesn't have one. And he is one of the only players in this draft class that I feel comfortable saying that he is going to be a hit. No matter what, you will find a spot for him to play on your offensive line. That's a fact. And I think that, like, truthfully, honestly, and with 100% conviction, whether you're playing him at offensive guard, whether you're playing him at tackle, hell, whether you even decide to brush off on that rusty skill set because he was a center coming into college, he truly has, in my opinion, 5-position versatility on this class. But projecting a guy with 32.25-inch arms to play at the NFL level, to play tackle, is something difficult. And when your projection is an all-pro guard and just an okay tackle, it is a disservice to you as a player to put you at tackle. So I'm going to put him here at my guard list because I truly think that what we're looking at is the next Elijah Vera Tucker. Peter Skoronski is that good. I love this kid, and he should play guard at the next level. Next, and moving on, we're moving on to one of the favorite names when you're looking at bottom of the first round kind of guys, top of the second round, immediate plug-and-play starter when you look at your offensive guard position, and that's the offensive guard O'Cyrus Torrence out of Florida. This guy is a gargantuan human being, 6'5", 350 pounds. The guy just plays and moves like a giant. Now, at the combine, he measured in at 330, which is, I think, something that's really, really good. But his playing weight was said to be at around 345 to 350. And for a guy who's that big, he does not look like a guy who's that big. He doesn't look like he's carrying around all of that weight. He's got one of the best anchors in this class when you look at the offensive line position. Him and Steve Avila are immovable brick walls. If you power rush him, he sets his feet and he just brings you up. You're not pushing him back. He doesn't get moved. He's got bear claws of hands, 11 plus inch hands. I believe that measures in like the 98th percentile, 99th percentile for like hand size. It's absolutely insane. what are some of the issues that you look at when you look at Osiris Torrance? There's not much there, really. He's got great hands. He's got great feet. The real problem with him is, well, because of how big he is, he does lack that burst that you want, or the speed in his sets, in pass protection sets, but that doesn't really bother him. In the SEC competition, he did excellent work there. And the other thing is, you would love to see him, if he plans on playing at 330, which I think is great for him. I would love to see him really work on his lateral movement and getting to the next level. Right now, he really only scheme fits to a power gap system. And if you're running an inside zone system, if you're running a wide zone run scheme where you ask your guards to pull and to move and to get into space and to get to the next level and to do those things, Osiris Torrance might not be the best fit for you. Am I saying that he can't do that? Well, no, but I'm saying that's definitely an area of his game that he needs to work on. He's not this insane athlete. What he is just an insanely strong offensive guard. And I mean, like, literally just physical strength. The guy is out of this world. Like, he was built to play guard in a lab. He's got the perfect frame, the perfect size, the perfect athletic skill set. But with a lot of teams transitioning to this wide zone run scheme, I don't know how many teams are going to look at Osiris Torrance as a true fit in that scheme. So I'd love to see him get with a strength and conditioning coach and work on that lateral movement and getting to the next level. Because if he can add that to his game, we're looking at one of the better guards in the NFL, hands down. I love this kid. Now we're going on to the number 3 offensive guard in this class, and he's a tackle, and that's Matthew Bergeron, the offensive tackle out of Syracuse. Matthew Bergeron, when I originally scouted him, I looked at him purely with a tackle lens on. I have a hard time when I scout prospects of looking at them through multiple hats. No, I put on my offensive tackle hat and I'm looking at offensive tackle skill sets, and then I'll have to rewatch the tape with an offensive guard hat and look and how would these skill sets transition. And when I originally looked at Matthew Bergeron, I thought, wow, like, this is a pretty good offensive tackle. Like, this is a guy that you can come in and can truly probably compete for a right tackle spot at the NFL at the next level. He's not great, but he's not bad either. And then I went back and I watched him with my guard eyes and my guard skill set, and wow, all of the problems that you have with him in the offensive tackle room go away when he's a guard. Guards don't need to take massive steps in pass protection. So his his lack of ability right now to do that, to take the depth in pass protection, goes away. And when he doesn't have to take these massive steps and take these depth steps in pass protection, when he can kind of do a shallow step and just meet a guy, he's insane. He's insanely strong. He's just fantastic in the pass game when you don't ask him to do that. The biggest problem is what happens when you're versing a guy who's on a wide 9, who's going to take that long angle around you. Can he take the depth to get there? You're not going to ask to do that in a guard. In a guard, you're going to meet a 3 tech right in your face. He's going to be on you immediately. And if that's what you're asking Bergeron to do, just meet a guy immediately right at the line, Bergeron's going to win that. Like 9 times out of 10, he's that good. At 6'5", 322 pounds. Again, another guy that was kind of built in a lab to play offensive guard. He is like one of my favorite players now that I've looked at. Like, I put him in my guard eyes and my guard hat on, and I looked at him and I was like, wow, like Matthew Bergeron should be played at guard, but he should absolutely be given the opportunity to play tackle. Same thing goes with Peter Skoronski. But again, it'd be a disservice to Matthew Bergeron to say, yeah, this guy's a tackle. No. I think that if you put him at guard, you have a really, really, really good guard that can play guard for 10 to 15 years. He's got a ton of experience playing. He's got I think it's over 2,500 snaps at the tackle position. So he knows his pass protection sets. He knows his run blocking sets. He knows what he needs to do to get out into space and to move and to do all of those things. But honestly, the way that I look at Matthew Bergeron is either he can be a swing tackle for you, a backup guy that if someone gets hurt, you can put him in at tackle, or you can put him in at guard and then bounce him outside, because I think at guard he's going to do incredibly, incredibly well. One thing I'd love for him to add to his game is a little bit of nastiness. He kind of just like he kind of just blocks guys and then just like he doesn't finish blocks, you know, like he doesn't like put a guy in the ground and then body slam him kind of a thing. And I'd love to see. I like it when my offensive linemen play nasty, be a nuisance, be incredibly annoying to play against, not just because you're incredibly good, but because you just so if he could add a little bit of nastiness to his game, watch out. Matthew Bergeron could be one of the better guards at the next level. Now, another convert kind of player, and we're looking at offensive tackle out of Alabama, Tyler Steen. When you look at Tyler Steen and some of the things that we have complaints about him, it's all the same types of complaints that we have about some of these other tackle guys who are going to convert to guard. Doesn't have the ideal arm length of a guy who can play tackle, sub 33-inch arms, 32 and 3/4-inch arms, you know. But when you look at his size, he's got that perfect fit to be an offensive guard. An insanely thick and powerful lower half with his legs, so you can ask him to really get out into space and attack the next level. That's something that he does need to work on, because he does take like some bad angles when going to the next level. And sometimes it may lead at the NFL level to like a block in the back kind of a situation if he can adjust his angles and his pursuits that he takes, because I think he's going to have to transition to the offensive guard position at the next level. But again, he's just got a ton of experience, because before he was at Alabama, he was a Vanderbilt recruit, and then I believe he left Vanderbilt to go to a different school before he went to Alabama. He's just played a ton of experience. He has a ton of experience playing at left tackle, playing at right tackle, and just being an offensive lineman. But it would be a disservice to have Tyler Steen as a tackle, because I just don't think he has the skill set. He's already got a ton of penalty calls against him for, holding and being really reachy and getting his weight over his toes, because he's trying to get to the defensive guys, because he's got those short arms, and he didn't win consistently enough, specifically at an SEC school where you see him facing a ton of these really good edge rushers that are just going to the NFL. And so moving him inside is going to help him with those reaching problems, because he can let guys kind of get into him. He can then use his lower half, which is just incredibly strong. Got, again, a great anchor to him. He's not really going to be the reason that the pocket collapses. So I love me some Tyler Steen. And for an older prospect, because that's what he is, taking him as a project to be a tackle, I think he's a little bit too old for that, but he can come in and be a starting right guard at the NFL level, and then even project later on into his career as a left guard. And I think that that's the best place for him, and I think that's what he's best served to do. And then the last, number 5 on my list of offensive guards is Chandler Zavala, an actual guard out of NC State. He's great when you look at an offensive guard prospect, a guy that's probably going to be looked at in the second or the third round when you look at it. Great in pass protection. He knows how to use his hands really, really well. And one thing that I notice about him is that he can use his hands to do different things. That's something that offensive linemen, they tend to connect their hands when it comes to punch No. He can swat hands and grab shoulder pads and do all of these different things. He's a technician when it comes to working with his hands and to doing those things. Also incredibly quick when it comes to breaking out of his pass sets and to doing those things. Very patient as well is something that I really like about him. Now, when you look at what are the problems of this, is that he's a really raw prospect that just doesn't have a ton of playing experience, but he's got ideal size, 6'5", 325. He's got relatively, a good measurables when it comes to that stuff. I think he can probably even play center if you needed him to. But he does have a ton of things that he does need to work on. He needs to work on getting a better anchor and getting a better lower half. He needs to get better at playing out in space and moving and doing all of those things. But when you're looking for a guy, or when you're looking for a guard who doesn't have a ton of wear and tear on him, and if you believe in your offensive line coach to coach up a guy who's got all of those skills and all of those things and all of the measurable things that you're looking for with an offensive guard, Zavala's a great pickup. Even if you're like a team that doesn't need a guard this year, but you might need one next year, I look at a great place for Chandler Zavala would be like the Houston Texans. They just traded for Shaq Mason, but Shaq Mason is a Band-Aid for the guard position. So if you're telling me that you can get a Chandler Zavala in the second round and add depth to that offensive line room, and you've got an heir apparent in Chandler Zavala for Shaq Mason, like that's a great fit for him. A team that's maybe 1 year away from needing a guard, and you're projecting this guy for next year's offensive line duties. That's a great spot for Chandler Zavala. And I love this kid and what he can project to be, but it's really hard to narrow down what his projection can be when you look at the fact that he just doesn't have a ton of experience. He's an older prospect at 24. And again, he just spent 4 years at a D2 school, then transferred to North Carolina State, and then took advantage of a sixth season because of the COVID. And he still doesn't have a ton of experience when it comes to that. He is a project, and a 24-year-old project might be something that, schools shy away from. But let me know what you guys think of my offensive guard position rankings. We're going to be doing offensive tackles a little bit later today, so keep your eye on that because we missed yesterday. Super excited to talk offensive tackles. And last but not least, go Jets.